Hello and welcome to the Adobe booth at NAB 2025. My name is Francis Crossman. I'm a Principal Product Manager on Premiere Pro. And today I'm going to be telling you about some AI innovations that we're really excited to get into the hands of our customers in the shipping version of Premiere right now. We're going to be talking about media intelligence, generative extend, caption translation, and some color management. So let's jump on in. Okay, so here we are in Premiere Pro. We are in version 25.2, which is the latest version out now. You can go download it from Creative Cloud Desktop. And I want to show generative extend. So first thing, I'm going to show the problem that we're trying to fix with generative extend. I'm just going to turn off some layers here. And we're going to be looking at this bottom video track. And he's just trying to relax, but then he starts to shuffle his arm. And as an editor, this is the kind of annoying thing that you want to fix. So what I can do is I can just trim this back and use the new generative extend tool here in the tool group. And we can see here that we can generate up to 2 seconds of video or 10 seconds of audio. And if it's a combination, then we're limited to 2 seconds for both. So I'm going to grab that and I can just extend this out. And what's going to happen is that this is going to upload it to the Adobe Firefly Video Service, where it's going to get processed in the cloud, and it's going to magically extend that shot, adding frames with AI. And then that is going to get returned back down into the project. Now this is going to take a couple of minutes, so for the sake of the demo, I'm going to turn on a previously generated version, and we can see that. Let me just set this to loop, and we can see the result. So notice that his arm doesn't shuffle anymore. He's just sitting there enjoying the sun. Don't worry about this little red logo. That's not actually going to be burned into your footage. We just have it for the benefit of demonstration, here in the sequence. Let's move on to the next example. Here, I'm going to turn off the layers. Here, what we're trying to solve is there's a lens flare that goes across her face. And there it is. It's kind of clear. And for a high-end, very clean project like we're trying to create, this is not so great. We don't like that lens flare going across her face. And so, again, I can trim this back and use the generative extend tool and pull it out. And it's going to do the same thing as before, upload it to the service, and it's going to do its extension thing and return it back down into Premiere Pro. And let me turn on these layers and we can see the result here. So here we can see no more lens flare. And that's a really great thing for editors to have this power to be able to fine-tune their edits and just really finesse things. I was an editor for about 10 years before coming to Adobe, and I can tell you I would have used this a lot. This last example is actually really obvious. So here what we have is they're on the motorbike and his goggles fly off. The wind caught them, they flew off, and unfortunately this is the only take we got, and we have to use it to tell the story. And we could send this to visual effects to kind of paint it out frame by frame, but that would be costly and time consuming. So instead, with Gen Extend, again, I can just trim this back, use the generative extend tool, drag it out, and it's going to be AI processed and extended for me. And so let me turn on these layers here and show you the results of that one. So here we see no more goggles flying off. So this is really great. And again, it's going to allow you to really clean up transitions, get like that extra little bit of footage you need to just time and edit perfectly, fix mistakes, all sorts of stuff. You can extend the tail or the head of both video and audio. And again, you can extend 2 seconds of video or 10 seconds of audio. And when it comes to audio, it's actually really great for extending room tone or sound effects. So, wonderful tool. The next thing I want to show off is media intelligence. And media intelligence uses AI to index and then allow you to search for footage. So let me search for something simple like food. And we can see that we're getting some search results here. What this is doing is it's searching across visuals, text, or basic clip metadata. And by text, we mean transcript. So that is the spoken words that have been transcribed with speech to text. And that's great for finding those sound bites. So here we've got some food. I'm going to limit it to only search for source material. So we can search for source or for things that show up in a sequence. Right now I'm going to limit for source, and let's get more descriptive than food. Let's search for steaming plate of food. And here we have some great examples of, steam coming off of food. And so I'm going to grab these. I'm going to right click and say make a sequence from the selection. And now I have a string out. And so let's call this food. And here are, my examples of these food shots. But what I also need is an overhead shot of a plate of food. And here we have these overhead shots of plates of food. So you kind of can get the sense that the more descriptive you can be, the better. It's really great for finding the exact shot that you need. And with AI, what it's actually doing is it's finding something that is statistically the closest to what you describe. So if you give a very broad description, just one or two words, it's going to give you a very broad result. But if you want to be very descriptive and give it a very specific thing, and you can use natural language just like you would describe it to a person. So you can imagine the director talking to the editor and saying, you remember that one shot and it had the cabbage on top of the taco? Can we find that? Well, with media intelligence, you totally can. So actually, let's look for cabbage on taco. And there we go. Red cabbage on a taco. So media intelligence runs on device. It does not require an internet connection, and it's very fast. So you can see that these search results are coming back super fast. That's because this has all been pre-indexed. The indexing is quite quick as well. It runs generally at about 60x, so 1 hour of footage can get indexed in about a minute, and then the searching is just milliseconds. So let me show you really quick how you can choose exactly where you want these index files to be stored. So by default, it stores it in the media cache, but you could also put them as sidecar files next to the media, which is actually nice in a shared storage environment if you got multiple people connecting on different workstations to the same shared storage. If they bring in that footage into their project, it's already been indexed, they can immediately start searching. So let me look for something that is good for transcript. So if I look for something like Sundance Film Festival, we can see here some examples of interviews that have been shot where people speak the words Sundance Film Festival. And so here we see here that, in the transcript, in the text panel, he actually says Sundance Film Festival, and in the text view, it's following along. So media intelligence is going to really greatly increase the speed at which you can find footage. You can make string outs, find the perfect shot for B-roll. It's going to help you find that perfect sound bite. And all around, this is going to mean that you can spend less time organizing your project. You still should organize your project, but this means if you didn't do a good job organizing your project, you can find that clip really fast. So next up on the list, we're going to talk about caption translation. And caption translation has been a huge user request ever since we introduced the speech-to-text and text-based editing workflow back in 2023. The biggest request we got from customers was, I need to translate the caption so I can reach a broader market and go reach a global market. So now we've delivered on that ask. So here we have an example of a project, and it's in Spanish. It's a documentary about a restaurant. That's where all these food shots are coming from. And I want to translate these captions. So in the caption tab of the text panel, up here in the upper right, I can click on Translate Captions. It's automatically detected that it's in Spanish. and I can translate this into one or many languages. Let's do English as well as German. And now what's going to happen is this is also a connected workflow. It needs an internet connection. And it happened very quickly because it uploaded the caption file, which is just text. So that's just a very small amount of data, but that got translated and then brought back down to us. So let's take a look at the German subtitles. So now, of course, now that you have these captions, you can style them using the Essential Graphics workflow in Premiere. You can make them pretty. If you need to burn them in, you can also export this as sidecar files. And we now have the ability to include multiple caption segments on screen at the same time. So I can take these German subtitles and move them up. Let's move those up and make them sort of orange. And let's make a style. So now we've got German and English subtitles on screen running at the same time. And remember that the original language of this piece is Spanish. So this is going to allow us to post this and reach a much broader market. Next up, I want to talk about color. And we have a new color management system in Premiere that really takes the guesswork out of getting your color right. And it also takes the guesswork out of normalizing cameras from different vendors into your timeline working space. So in this example, what I have are some shots from Canon and a shot from Red. And if I actually turn off the setting, what you can see is that we're working with log footage. With this new option in Premiere, we can turn on the Color Manage Auto-Detected Log and Raw Media option. And what that means is that Premiere is able to automatically understand that this is Canon log, this is Red log, and just do the mathematical transformation from the original camera space into our working color space. And so now you don't need to worry about LUTs. Now, of course, if you use LUTs and you're accustomed to using LUTs, you can continue to use LUTs, but you don't need to. And for most editors, not using LUTs is a nice thing. In addition to the automatic conversion from camera color space, we have a new wide gamut working color space. And just to show you an example of why the wide gamut working color space is a really great thing, I've got this shot and it's a bit overexposed. So let me drop down the exposure, and it starts to get a little bit muddy. We lose the sparkle, like we lose the specular highlights in the chrome. And so then maybe I want to try to bring that back by giving like an S-curve or something like that. And I need to do a bit of grading to get this shot to look nice. But let me reset everything and go into a wide gamut workflow. So here in the Lumetri panel in the settings tab, under the sequence options, we've got some color setups. And the default is DirectRec 709, but I'm going to choose the wide gamut tone mapped preset. And what that's going to do is set us into a working color space of ACES CCT, which is a very large working color space. And now that we've got this enormous color space to work in, we can retain all of the original camera detail. So when I do this same exposure example, notice how it retains that sparkle. It retains that vibrance. We still see the specular highlights in the chrome on this scooter. And so you get to a much better starting place much faster. You not only get better results, but you need to do less work to get better results. So this wide gamut working color space is really going to open up a lot of opportunities to get much better fidelity color renderings in Premiere. So all of these options are available today in Premiere Pro in the shipping version 25.2. You can download them from Creative Cloud Desktop and get access to them right now. It's worth noting that all of the AI features, we never train on your data. So even the features that upload your content to the Firefly video service, we are not training on your data. And the results are completely commercially safe, which means you don't need to worry about getting an IP infringement lawsuit on your hands, because we train it on completely open data that we have the rights to or that the copyright has expired. So get these updates today, and we're really excited to help our editors be way more efficient in their workflows.